Today, we are speaking to the frontman of The Big Band, rocking shows all over the UK and releasing amazing albums along the way, with the latest album, City of Sin, reaching the official top 40 charts, while also tearing up the rave with his energetic DJ sets. It's Michael from Dutty Moonshine Big Band. How are you doing, my friend?
What up? Yeah, I'm cool, man. Yourself?
Yeah, really good, man. Really happy to have you on. So let's dive straight in. Where did Dutty Moonshine come from? What are the origins of Dutty Moonshine, my friend?
As in the name or the outfit?
Should we start? Let's go chronologically. So I'm assuming the name came first.
Yeah, kinda. So it was me and mate Alex Furley wanted to start a duet up, and then we were like, we've got to come up with a name because we had our individual names, but we wanted a sort of duet name, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were sat at this small bar called Bar Iguana in Reading, partnering up loads of different words. We wanted a word that reflected old school, one that reflected new school, something that represented sort of like prohibition times, one that represented sort of modern rave days.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with all sorts of all sorts of different combinations of words and stuff, and there's stuff like 808 bootleggers and stuff like that. But obviously Dutty Moonshine was something we all laughed at the time. We thought, well, what a silly name.
It is a great name.
But everyone in the bar couldn't stop saying it, and they were like, and then the next day we were like, I think that's the winner. Like, I just couldn't. Yeah, just wicked pairing of words.
Yeah, and then so from there, obviously, did you release much as just a duet?
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff. Furley was the main producer, and yeah, God, but it's funny actually. I was flicking through my SoundCloud, was it last week or something, and there's obviously quite a few hidden tracks that have like, the first ones that came out, and oh wow, there's some bad songs. Mixtapes is what we did first, and that's remixing swing and stuff, and that's what people really dug straight away. And had a crack at producing, and made some horrific music.
It's good to see the progression, though, isn't it? So.
Yeah, well, annoyingly, one of the songs popped off really well. It was an electro swing song that Furley made in a day. He just did it for a laugh, like one day thing, and it absolutely popped off. I think it's got like 3 or 3.5 million plays on YouTube and stuff. And I was like, oh my god! And it's the worst song. I can't stand it. I hate that it exists. But because it's making so much and like streams and stuff, I can't like convince Furley. I can't really ask the label to take it down and get rid of it because of course, money's still being made from it.
That's mad. That is absolutely insane. So when I was digging through the SoundCloud, I did find an interesting collaboration somewhere down there with the McMash clan. Now,
yeah,
I've got to say, I haven't seen the McMash clan about for a long time. That was an interesting amalgamation of worlds.
Yeah. I used to organize all the cabaret and circus stuff for the Braindrop nights in London. That's how I got to know them.
Okay.
I got booked to do a Glade. I got booked to do a Glade dance stage and like curate it for one evening, one of the nights, Saturday night, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find like weird, unique acts to come play, but do this sort of like vintagey type sound. And I said to a mash clan, I was like, you're multi-genre DJs. How do you feel about doing a 5-deck mashup set using swing samples? And they were like, yeah, totally all over it. And it actually is the reason they wrote Swing Break. I don't know if you've heard the song Swing Break.
I think I have. I was a big McMash Clan fan back in the day. Their Dream Tripper remix is such a banger. Shout outs McMash Clan.
Yeah.
And so moving on from there, when did it become a big band?
So there was a stint when there's a DJ called Danny Webb joined us. We were a trio for a short while, and then Furley left to go live around the world. He's ended up living in New Zealand, America. He just wanted to sort of, I don't know, just do that whole lifestyle for a bit. And so I said I wanted to start the big band with Danny. We sort of did it for a bit, and then me and Danny parted ways after, I don't know, like 6 months, a year or something like that, once the big band kicked off, because I thought the directions just didn't sort of line up with each other anymore.
Yeah, of course.
And then so I guess that was fine. Oh, do you know what's crazy? At the time we record this interview, I've got a note on my calendar to share the first ever band rehearsal we did.
Oh wow!
So the day of this recording is the day that we had our first band rehearsal. So I think we're 5 or 6 years old now. I need to confirm that, unfortunately. But yeah.
And so for the viewers, that is the 3rd of March.
Yeah, that's right.
that's insane. And so from there, the releases have kind of got obviously bigger. The production quality behind them have obviously got a lot better from obviously just time and learning and progressing and taking other influences from your journey, if you will. What is your favorite release to date?
Do you know what? It's maybe not one people think. I'm going to say there was a song on the first album we did called "Take a Little Time," and it's a great big 11-minute jazz type song. It's a sort of like tribute and cover towards Dave Brubeck's Take 5. And even though we've written loads of bass bangers and huge, anthems and stuff like that, and they're really cool, but this song, I don't know, there was a lot of love went into that song, and there's a lot of tributes and a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of techniques and things we put into that song that people are still discovering and stuff. And so I like that song. It's probably one of our most mellow songs, but yeah, I'm just a big fan of it.
No, that's really cool. I love the like the juxtaposition from your music. Sometimes you'll get like this really mellow track like that, and then other times you'll get absolute just bangers like you say, bass bangers, like some of your collabs with the likes of like Mr. B and people like that. They're just so different, aren't they? Is that something that you kind of set out to do?
Mr. B, that's Mr. B, that's going back a while. That's predating the big band. That is, that's old school. Yeah. Well, I grew up. I grew up in 2 different worlds. I grew up in the sort of jazz and cabaret world, and I also grew up in free pies and warehouses. And so, I like both music. I like raving my ass off to One Night in Hackney, but I also, was a big fan of listening to some Louis Armstrong. So
of course,
certainly something you can hear my fusions and stuff of what the big band does now. I always describe it. Imagine if Duke Ellington grew up in Peckham in the squat scene, like basically.
That's nuts, mate. Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate, I will say. And so let's just touch a little bit on your DJ sets. Obviously, that is birthed from your love of rave. When we got you down, it was a really energetic set. Is that something that always been your kind of your standard, if you will?
Yeah, super energy. I've always been the energetic sets. I have liked messing around with stuff. Like I have done chill out rooms and stuff. Like deliberately, a promoter said, "Mike, do you fancy having an experiment in a chill out room?" So I've done stuff like that. But generally, my set's always been high octane energy. That's sort of my model basically. And I just love the craziness. Like if I'm on stage, I just want to just go for it.
And so a DJ set, something that you're obviously you'll still do the sporadic one, but is it something that you're still pushing?
Well, so for a while I wasn't pushing it so much because the band was sort of like taking up a lot of the time. And annoyingly before COVID, I was like, I'm actually going to sort of pick up some more DJ sets and sort of push a few more things, do a couple of tours. It's a hell of a lot easier going international, going abroad and stuff for the DJ thing because it's just one guy in a bag as opposed to 12 musicians in a bus.
Yeah, of course.
So it was definitely something I was going to be pushing more, and it's something I'm going to be picking up again whenever shows come back. It's 2021 now. Who knows when they'll be back?
That's it.
But so it's so I'm dead keen to DJ more. I love it, and what I quite often do at festivals is I'll pick up DJ sets that the band play at. So you'll see us on the main stage with the band, but then you'll also catch me DJing somewhere, one of the dance centres somewhere later on that weekend.
Yeah, and so with the big band, obviously the latest release absolutely blew up. No thanks, of course, to your relentless promoting, I will say.
It just went on and on. Trust me, mate, I was sick to death of pushing it. The game changed as soon as we'd lost the tour. So all of a sudden we've got a 20-day tour to promote the album to get those, get that chart position. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, I've got nothing.
Yeah, of course. And so let's just touch on the surrounding circumstances of that. So the album came out, I believe, and then COVID happened, or did COVID happen and then the album came out? It was very, very close, wasn't it?
Yeah, the album was originally going to come out end of April, and it was due to come out a week before the last tour date. So we found out the chart results of the big show, the last show, which was Bristol for 1,100 people. The idea was we were going to walk on stage and announce it. But then, halfway through March is when lockdown came into effect. So we were like 4 shows into the tour. And I remember shooting a music video on the Monday before lockdown was announced. I have a phone call with my agent. We just played Manchester and Clitheroe, and I was shooting this music video, and I was like, oh, Adam, I think we're gonna have to pull this tour. I think if we try and get ahead of it now, we can try and get a reschedule before everyone else does. And then a few days later, lockdown was announced, but thankfully we were ahead of everyone else. So, and then because the COVID kicked in properly, first lockdown and stuff, we actually postponed the album release by another month to give ourselves an extra bit of time to promote. So the album came out end of April. It was going to be end of April. Then it came out end of May. That was the timeline.
And so, what was it like in that last week before, obviously, the results came in? Because I remember seeing posts saying we're so close, and so it seemed very touch and go.
Yeah, well, so I was actually analysing averages beforehand. The reason we went for it in the first place is I remember seeing an act that I didn't expect to get a top 40, got a top 40, and I was like, wait a minute, if he can get top 40,
we can do it.
Yeah. So I started like analysing the stats and working out what the average numbers were for different placements and stuff. And so I was like, actually, with a lot of effort and a bit of money and a tour and stuff, we could do that. So the reason it was getting close, so on the day of release, it comes out on a Friday, and then you've got 6 days to get as many sales in, plus you add up the pre-orders you had, and then they announce on the Friday. Well, we were able to see daily reports. The labels and distributors get daily reports and stuff, so they were able to tell us how we were doing. Obviously, I couldn't check out everyone else's and stuff like that, but we were able to find out how we're doing, which meant that I knew the kind of sales we had and what the average to hit was. But the problem was, what we cocked up with the moving of the album. Is when we moved the date, I didn't think what the averages were for that week, sorry. And that week is the time when a lot of the summer bangers were released and scheduled. So the numbers on that week were averagely a lot higher over the years and stuff. And so when we moved, I was like, oh, what have I done? We need to get even more sales now. So when it was touch and go, it's because I was able to see the averages. And I remember we actually hit the average point, but I was sort of keeping an eye on all the other campaigns and following a bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be tight, like absolutely tight. And actually the results were unbelievably tight. The guys who were number 41 and the guys who were number 39, there was only like 10 album difference between all three of us.
Jesus.
Like just that little bracket. It was that close to the wire.
And so on the day when the top 40 came about, was announced, and you had reached number 40, just explain your emotions at that point.
Oh man, so we were due a band Zoom call to announce it to everyone.
Oh, you've muted yourself.
There we go. Nightmare of trying to do interviews from home. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So yeah, so the band was due to have a Zoom call, and I actually had the results arrive to me like 3-4 hours before I thought they were due. So when the band Zoom was, and I remember reading that email, and they said, "Well done, you've done it." But it was just such a casual that the distributor just said it in such a casual way. I was like,
wait, what?
and I was like, sorry, you really have to spell this out. Have we done this and stuff? And then me and the missus were like sat there refreshing the Hotmail and stuff. And then they came through, and I was like, oh my God, I was doing cartwheels down the garden. I think there's a video somewhere on Instagram.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
And then when I told the band, when we told the band later, I pretended like I was going to open the email for the first time, so no one knew. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. We're going to find out. And then I was like, I do know. We did it. And then mate, ecstatic. It was just such the weirdest feeling, because a top 40, that is a monumentally big thing. That's not like
absolutely.
It's not like trying to top the Beatport charts and shit. Don't get me wrong, topping Beatport charts and stuff, that is great. That's a good thing to do as an actor stuff. But when you're competing against the pop stars, the big A-League pop stars, we were doing it independently, and it's just there was a lot of pressure, and my phone did not stop ringing when people, like, all these different labels were trying to get in touch and like trying to work out who the hell we were, like, who the hell are you, where did you come from, like, they've got strategies and people to keep an eye on, and then
of course
they're pissed at an app they didn't even know to look at, took out some of their attempts.
It's brilliant. So, it's brilliant to see like the underdog win, if you will.
Yeah, well, what was it? Shindig Festival. They really, it was something I didn't want to say when pushing the album and stuff, but Shindig nailed it on the head when they said, they were saying, look, we should all really get behind them. This is a really big thing for a lot of underground acts. Somebody independently with a weird sound pushing one of the festival crew, one of the underground style. If an underground act can get there through grassroots and you know, it's a really important thing for a lot of other people to, like, for the labels to wake up that, you know, an underground acts still have legs and stuff, rather than
it's a powerful message to make, I think, and I think, you know, from as a representative of the rave scene, if you will, we have got to give a big thank you to you. I do agree with that.
Well, let's pave the way. Well, hopefully it's paved the way the other. So we can thank me when I help other people get there as well. So I've been sat waiting on it for like, unfortunately I was hoping to help a couple of other people in the year, you know, pass my strategy ideas and, you know, help other underground acts do it. But the problem is with COVID, it's been a nightmare. So what I'm really hoping is once everything's back to normal, there's a few other acts and stuff that I think can do it. I'm going to say, look, do you want some help? Like, I'll help. Yeah, I'll help you get that top 40 as well. I can tell you how we did it and, you know, pass the secrets on.
Yeah,
so I'm hoping open the doors for others, basically.
And so future goals with in terms of, like, are you aiming to get higher than the top 40, or now that you've got the top 40 you're kind of happy? Or
no, yeah, we're definitely gonna try and go higher. Annoyingly, the director of Universal, he phoned us on the day, or is it on the day after or something? No, it was on the day, and he said, he was like, he goes, yeah, it's a real shame because the campaign, you know, you did such a good way with the campaign and everything you did was so perfect. I think you could have done top 20 if it wasn't for COVID. I was like, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So we've obviously got our eyes set on a top 20 next time. Obviously, we want a number one, but a number one album there's some absolutely enormous numbers. You know, you're fighting against Lady Gaga and Ed Sheeran and Ariana Grande. You know, that's some serious heavyweights to fight against.
Absolutely. They've got like the money behind them is just sunreal.
Oh, it's disgusting. Yeah. But they've got, you know, you saw Gets last week was trying to go for gunning for number one, and he didn't make it and stuff. You know, it's a serious bit of effort. So yeah, we are going to aim higher. We are working on the next big release. I need to be careful about what I say here. We're working on the next big release, and we are going to go higher. We're also going to be doing something that no one, or not that I'm aware of, has done before. So we're going to do something unique, and that in itself will be a selling point as well. So we're going to, really push the boundaries. It's going to make some people sweat working for us. Trying to work out how to pull it off.
It's interesting that you have obviously got that success, but you're not, you like, I know a lot of artists in the past have kind of got that little bit of taste of success and they've kind of sat back on their laurels and it's kind of dropped, like the whole one-hit wonders kind of thing. It's really cool that you have, like, not only worked on another release, but you're also working on ideas that are outside the box.
Yeah. So I just want to I think it's really important. Like, a lot of the mainstream, a lot of Radio 1 playlists and stuff, and I've got to be careful, I don't just slate Radio 1 now because we still want to be paid on them.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of the major labels, a lot of Radio 1 and stuff, they regurgitate a lot of the same music, and it sort of pop will eat itself. It's, you know, it's just a, I think it's really, you know, when was the last time we had something really unique come through? And so, you know, it does happen every so often. You know, look at people like Amy Winehouse, fantastic. You know what I mean? Real talent coming through, yada, yada, yada. So I think it's really important to have an act like us, you know, come through. It's been, when the hell was there, you know, an act from the underground rave scene make it into the A leagues? You know, obviously
exactly,
years ago. Chemical Brothers, obviously.
There's the odd one sprinkled in, isn't there? So, but you know, you are right.
Yeah, I'd just love to be like the next sort of big dance act to really make a thing. You know, there's huge dance acts like Andy C and stuff like that, but, you know, that's a whole different sort of world. Like, it's, you know, the head of the game of drum and bass, but how often do you see Andy C in the charts?
That's it. They are as big as they can get within their bubbles, but they haven't quite broken into the mainstream, if you will.
Well, the thing is, Andy C could.
Really, yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I've got no doubts about that whatsoever. I mean, is he? Am I right in saying that he's the first? I think he's the first DJ to sell out a Wembley show. I mean, like, so he definitely could, but it's whether he wants to, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the tactics work for him and his team. He's obviously got a whole team around and stuff. You know, there's people like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Holy Goof try it soon. I've got my predictions on Holy Goof being one of the next sort of big rave acts to have a crack at this. I know who was it? Go on.
I was going to say that's what I was going to come on to next. Like, in terms of future acts to keep an eye out for.
Oh, well, tricky because I'm not actually good chums with a lot of the bigger sort of dance acts in their fields and stuff. Oddly, I don't know. Yeah, because I'm such a weird niche sound. It's hard to meet those sorts of people. I reckon Holy Goof will go for it. I imagine there's going to be big things come out of Skepsis soon because just signed his big deal with Spinning Records. I know that Brucey tried it recently. Brucey tried to go for the charts. I think he topped the dance charts, but he didn't. I don't think he got the top 100. Don't quote me.
Yeah,
but I know that was something he tried. So certainly all that like crew cast and all that baseline acts and stuff. I think they're really hungry for it. So I'd imagine we can see a bunch of them starting to do it. You've obviously got giant drum and bass artists like Fresh and stuff that have popped in and out of the charts, here and there with their singles and stuff. But I think the new younger baseline acts and stuff will be the next sort of guys rock the charts. That's my thoughts anyway.
It'd be really interesting to see the 4x4 sound back in the charts.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it's really popular. It's incredible, like some of the shows they're putting on and stuff. And
absolutely.
But yeah, I certainly think they can wobble the charts in the mainstream themselves for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I do see a lot of parallels between guys like that and that, like when obviously T2 got baseline to number one and stuff like that. There are a lot of parallels. I believe anyway.
Yeah, totally.
And so now that we've had this glimmer of hope with events, obviously it's hard to get too excited with this government, but let's just play the game of everything's going to go well. What can we expect from Dutty Moonshine?
Right. Again, how do I answer things carefully? it's frustrating in the music industry because we're actually living 9 months to 12 months ahead of everyone else. Like, so we know what the next 9 to 12 months looks like, if not further sometimes. And so just gotta be careful what you say. Right. So if events go back to normal, we're hoping to play some festivals. We've been getting a bunch of emails from festivals that we booked in 2020, and then they've been moved to 21. All of them are happy as Larry because we've got that top 40 since, so they're like, oh my god. So they've managed to get like a great fee out of us, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So a lot of them have been in touch and they said that we're going to try and go for head for 2021, but we're aware that the Tories suck, and so they it might be this 22 and they'd like to move they'd like to carry on the book until 2022. We're hoping some shows in some sense will come back, whether they're non-socially distanced by winter. That would be lovely. I know they say June, but that's just not going to happen, really, is it? So it might be that we do some socially distant shows. We were looking at doing that before the third lockdown. We were lining up venues in Bristol and London and Manchester and stuff, and then third lockdown happened. We had to cancel at short notice. So yeah, we'll do social distance ones for sure, just a handful of them, just to sort of dust the cobwebs off, and fans are gagging for it because no one's heard us play this album live as well.
Yeah,
no one's heard apart from the 4 shows of the tour we did. Like everyone still hasn't heard us do this live, and it's nuts. So yeah, and then we'll hopefully get to doing non-socially distant shows later in the year by winter. We hope.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this one performed. I got to say, it's been a while since I've seen the whole band as well.
Mate, well, we're super tight. Well, I say super tight. We've been out of practice now, but we'll be super tight again. And we're seeing the tour shows, like places like Manchester and Bath, were absolute carnage. I mean, it was carnage. So it's just and they're only like venue capacities like 500. We can't wait to be smashing out main stages to 10,000 people with all the new stuff. It's going to be mosh pit central.
I bet you're absolutely buzzing. So let's just do a little bit of band trivia, shall we? So let's start with this one. What is the biggest fuck up that has ever happened with the band, whether that's on tour, whether that's in the studio or anything like that, or any funny stories?
So obviously everyone's cocked up on stage. You just live music cock on stage, so that's not going to count. I'd say I'd say the biggest single fuck up and the biggest group fuck up. The biggest single fuck up was our harp player drove to the wrong O2 Academy. We were doing a show in London, and she turned up at the O2. She's like, "Oh, I'm the harp player tonight," and the sound and the loading guys helped to load in and stuff. And then she's called me. She's like, "Oh, I'm here. The harp's the stage, and I'm on the dance floor. It's a sound check going. No, you're not. I'm looking at the stage." and she turned up, and it was another band setting up, and people just didn't realise that they were like, "What?" And then she was like, "Oh my god!" She had to like quickly run away and like drive across London very fast to try and get to us.
Did she make it?
yeah, she just about made a sound check. It was a really stressful sound check as well. I was like, we're just not going to talk about it, Chizzy. Just get here and we'll be on. Biggest group fuck up was we drove to the wrong hotel once. That was quite funny. We were all pissed. Obviously, the drivers weren't. And yeah, we got to the hotel and they were like, no, you're not here. And we were like, what? And there was actually a hotel very close. And we'd just driven to the wrong one. But thankfully, it wasn't too far. But yeah, that was a bit much when you're all a bit leathered at like 2 a.m. on the side of a service station.
That's brilliant. and so what happened there then? Did you just end up going to the other one, or did you?
Yeah. It was like 25 seconds. It was all fine, but it was it was quite funny being drunk arguing. It was like, no, we're definitely here. And like, it's on the itinerary. Like that's nice. Oh shit.
So, do you want to just quickly run through the band members so this next one might make a bit more sense?
Okay, so there's 2 vocalists, and then I'm the band leader, so I'm also on a mic, but I do like minor vocals, but it's more like big bands have band leaders like Glenn Miller, Duke Ellington, Benny Goodman, stuff like that. Then we've got 2 people on. Well, DJ is not the right word because they're not really using DJ equipment. They're using hardware and buttons and playing all the backing tracks and samples and stuff. That's Howler and Binge. Plus, there's then a 7-piece brass section, which is 2 trumpets, 3 saxophones, that's alto, tenor and baritone, 1 trombone and a sousaphone. And then the trumpet player also doubles up as a pianist, so flicks between the 2. And we have part-time members. So we've got Chezzy who plays harp. We've got a guy called Jesse who plays flute, clarinet, and can fill in for the saxes if need be. And then there's another trumpet player who he normally does like lighting engineering for big pop acts like Keen, I think they're called. And so when he's not touring with us, when he's not touring with them, he comes and does shows with us.
Ideal. So right. Who of those can drink the most?
That would cause a fight.
On the spot.
I would say it'd come down to a fight between me and Howler. Me and Howler I think would be the 2 worst candidates for that. And then we both would say we can drink the most. And then it'd end up in a drinking competition, and we wouldn't go to sleep till the next day.
That does sound quite accurate, I'll be honest with you. And out of the lot of them, who would you say is going to go the furthest? If like, say for example, they all went their own way, God forbid, who do you think would make it the furthest?
It'd be Maria Lavu, the front woman. She we've already been sat in meetings with various big labels and publishers and stuff like that, and they'll ask about Maria Lavu, and we're like, oh, she's classically trained, presume, and we're like, no, we just found her in a random hip hop act. She's totally self-learned. And they're like, oh, really? Just making these notes. It's like, back off. you can shut off. So I wouldn't be surprised if through our success somebody approaches her about a solo project down the line. She would be the most likely to go the whole hog and become some sort of new sort of solo artist, some big thing where they're able to throw money at her. That's a definite. People are definitely already eyeing her up and waiting to see how far we get.
That's really cool. It's interesting that you don't say yourself.
No, well, I mean, yeah. Well, just one thing is,
charisma, my friend, charisma.
No, I know. I think if Dutty had its shelf life and it reached an end to its point and we got as far as we could, and I don't want to be one of these acts that are dragging it out and I'm 50 years old and I'm just playing now small venues again. I'd rather just call it quits while I'm ahead. And so once Dutty, I think, would be over and that life has been led, I would move into working for labels. I've already had lots of interest and stuff, and so getting into like A&R at big major labels, I think, would be my next sort of step, and signing new big artists and stuff and working on campaigns. That would be my step if this is ever over.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously you've always released independently, I understand that, but the promotion for this latest release was a real massive step up. What was it like making that step up in terms of promotion and obviously distribution and all of that, and working with like big labels and stuff? What was that like?
Weird. So we didn't actually work with any big labels. We worked with Universal, the Universal Publishing Company. So we they provided us with an advance on some publishing deals. That's how we got our money, but it was still an independent release. But it meant that we then had the capital to chuck, oh God, we spent easily a house deposit on a marketing campaign.
Right. Okay.
And so, yeah, it was a bit strange. I had to learn a lot of stuff I didn't know. So thankfully I sort of have like a weekly catch up to Universal, the marketing team, and they just give me tips and ideas and stuff. And have you spoken about this? Or one of them would sort of remind me that I'm not doing something. So it was really good having them sort of guide me, I guess, if you like. But we were totally left to our own devices and how we did what. But I certainly learned a fucking hell of a lot of all different interesting techniques and stuff, and all to do with like, I really got to grips with how the Facebook AI program works and how you can program the artificial intelligence to build audiences and evolve to get results out of it and stuff. And that was really cool. Obviously, there's stuff like pixel tracking, so I can trace how somebody's movements are on, from do they click on something, do they put anything in a basket, do they follow through with the click, with the payment, do they, being able to track their movement. It's proper like the Social Dilemma documentary stuff. Basically, I got to learn all that, which is really strange. Obviously, we weren't using it for like political persuasion. We were doing it to try and sell albums. And then it was interesting working with a lot of interesting sort of PR companies and advertising agencies and stuff, which were normally out of our sort of pay bracket, but also we were able to work with big companies and hire people, specialists, to do different things. So that was quite cool. Just a massive learning curve, and I've got so many tools that I'm eager to help somebody else with down the line, basically.
Yeah,
I helped a few acts during lockdown with some just sort of tidying up their acts and ideas and strategies and stuff. But yeah, I look forward to sort of getting more stuck into that and get stuck into the next big campaign.
Absolutely. And so, leading on from that, have you got any advice for any aspiring acts or aspiring people that want to work in the industry in some way or another?
Yes. What could I say? I would say understand your worth. So that works twofold. That works to saying understanding that you're worth money, but understanding that overcharging is shooting yourself in the foot. So don't try and hit that big money straight away. So I think I had a rant yesterday or the day before on Facebook saying, if you try to charge £600 and you do, let's say you do 10 shows a year at 600 quid, but you could do 30 shows at 350 quid, you're going to make more money doing the 30 shows and get a bigger audience spread. So, understand your worth. And also those that are going for free do know you should be paid, even if it's 50 quid for your time or something. I'd also say something a previous manager passed to me, which is a really good bit of wisdom. It was, imagine when you get a booking, there's a triangle. You have, oh God, what was it? So on one point you've got exposure, one is fun, and one is money. And he said you should always tick two of the boxes. So somewhere in that triangle, ideally you want to be smack in the middle. But I understand that I know the common phrase like you can't pay your rent and exposure, but sometimes something legitimately is a good exposure. But you should be the one to assess that. Don't believe any promoter saying, "Oh, it's good exposure." But let's say someone turned around to you tomorrow and said, "Hey, Andy C's warm-up DJ dropped out. We've got a couple hundred quid. I know it's not a lot of money and stuff like that. Do you want to open for Andy C in front of 10,000 people?" You'd be like, "Yeah." Or even if it was a free, they were like, "Do you want to open up for 10,000 people?" You'd be like,
absolutely.
"Yeah, that's great exposure."
Yeah, there's a difference between obviously something like that and then being told, "Oh yeah, no, it's good exposure in this dingy little nightclub in like Nottingham or something." Like,
exactly. And so yeah, make sure you're two of the three. So two of those three, or hopefully all three. And then lastly, I would say that don't think an agent or a manager is going to fix you. People seem to not understand there's different leagues. You read books or articles or stories about someone like Billie Eilish getting management and signing, and all of a sudden she's a world artist playing stadiums. That's different. Like, they're chucking millions at her. Where some people seem to think when they sign up with any small manager or agent that's going to be the be all and end all. Now, don't get me wrong, it can be a good idea. A manager can guide you, an agent can maybe help you get bookings and stuff. But so many people seem to think that will fix your problems. You'll still need to get the hustle in. You still need to put the work in. An agent can't sell you if you don't have something to sell. So just don't be expecting the music industry to owe you anything. Basically,
that's it. If you haven't got the content as well, it's kind of almost not worth getting those kind of people involved, if you know what I mean. So content is obviously key, but then obviously you've got other things that surround that, and I think that's something.
Well, content's right. It's man hours though as well. It's so there's two people go self-employed. One becomes a DJ. One becomes a I don't bloody know, whatever, like a self-employed carpet. A brickie, self-employed brickie sort of thing. Well, think how many hours a week that brickie's putting into it to get his wedge, and he might be getting better than a contractor because he's self-employed and stuff, and he's not getting whatever fees taken from him, and blah 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 blah. But are you as a DJ doing the same kind of man hours as them? And if you're not, Like, why are you expected to get so much money out of it? Like, you've got to be still putting in that 40-hour week, and it might be you've got a job first, and it's hard to like make that leap. But don't, you know, make that leap as and when you can afford to make that leap. But when you do make that leap, you know, on top of the part of those man hours is creating content, it's creating hustle, it's creating network, it's creating. You have to be prepared. Like, you become self-employed. Just don't think you get to sit on your ass in the studio making music all day and that's all you have to do. Like, there's a lot more to it. Like, you've got to get those in front of those labels. You've got to get those respect from the big DJs. You've got to get known on the festival scene. You've got to get yourselves, you know, all these booking companies like DHP, AMG. You want to be getting relationships with them so they'll provide you with tours and, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of effort put into it.
It's crazy how much goes into it now with the birth of, obviously, I know social media has been around for quite a while at this point.
It was always there. It's just changed. It was just changed. So, you know, back in the day before social media and stuff, people were going to nightclubs and you were trying to drop off demos to the promoter and stuff, and you were trying to get the DJs at the side of the stage and just get your 5 minutes, whatever. Or even when things like AIM, that little chatbot, like you'd be sending the promos to. You still had to put the effort in somehow. It just, what happened with the social media platform is it leveled the playing field. You no longer have to live in London, for example. You could be from whatever small village in England, and you've got the World Wide Web at your access. So it just changed the platform. You still had to put those hours in. It's just a different way of putting them in now.
Absolutely. And so just quickly, before we go through links where we can find you and things like that, can you tell me a couple, like even just one thing that nobody would know about Dutty Moonshine?
How do I say something without embarrassing someone?
Embarrassment is allowed. Just
no, not something that something people don't know. Maria Lavu quite often has snacks in her pockets. Like, constantly, she'll have snacks in her pockets, and she'll just have like a sneaky. She'll be able to just snack on the fly. That's quite a funny thing. She's meant to be like Mrs. Glamorous on stage, but as soon as she's off stage, she's balls deep in a block of cheese. That's something. Again, what else? What do people not know about Dutty Moonshine Big Band? We weren't mates to start with. We didn't know each other.
Okay, so how did you find each other? Was it kind of through performing that you can't, or did you put?
I recruited everyone. I had an idea that I wanted to do the big band, and then I chose people to join the band because I thought the formulas work and I just had this weird idea of how things would work, and I handpicked everyone. There was a lot of candidates that didn't get picked, and I know I gutted that. You know, they're annoyed that they've seen the success, and they're like, "Fuck, I'm really annoyed that you didn't pick me." So that, there you go. That's something people don't know. I don't think I've ever said that actually to anyone, but yeah, the band didn't know each other. We're all family now, but yeah, we didn't know each other. It took ages because there's so many of us. It took ages for us all to learn each other's names. Like, I still would have to look at paper like, oh yeah, it's that name.
That's really funny. So, where can we find you guys on your socials? Where can we buy your albums?
So it's just Dutty Moonshine on Twitter or Facebook, or it's Dutty Moonshine Big Band on Instagram. I do have an individual one under Dutty Moonshine, but Dutty Moonshine Big Band's the group one. To be honest, DuttyMoonshine.com has everything. It's got a link to all our socials. It's got updates and shows. It's got merchandise. It's got links to music where you can buy vinyl, where you can digitally stream stuff. Awesome. DuttyMoonshine.com is the be-all and end-all hub for everything you would like.
Awesome. All links will be included in and around this video. And so, is there anything else that you want to say to the adoring fans?
I've been super grateful for the community through lockdown. You know, it's really nice to meet fans at shows and stuff, and I think there's been a real increase in social media connection, chatting to people privately, because we've got a lot more time to check inboxes and stuff, and people engaging comments. We started up the Facebook group, the Dutty Moonshine and their alibis, and sort of what all the fans are calling themselves and stuff. And so I've just been really, really grateful to the community, all the fans and stuff, and how much we sort of stayed connected. And there's clearly still a huge demand for us, and they can't wait for us to come back. And that's been a real sort of lifesaver, basically, I think, for the whole of lockdown. And when you're isolated, not seeing people, it's really nice to know the fans are still there and really behind you, and still reminiscing about shows from how many years ago.
That's it. Yeah, I think times like this, you do a lot of that reminiscing, and you do a lot of that, like looking back, don't you? Is it? Do you want to just quickly give some tips on how you've dealt with the whole lockdown situation?
So this is an awkward question I've had in interviews. I was dealing all right with it to start with, because I was also a bit burnt out, so I was enjoying the time off. So actually it was a good excuse to just take time off after the campaign and shows and stuff like that. Actually, the truth is I haven't really done very well with it. I go through phases of proper mad stress, depression out of it, and the productivity. Like, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's great, you can just sit in the studio and make some music. You're like, yeah, but it's not. You know, you can't just walk in and create something out of nothing. You do have to have some sort of drive
and spark, don't you?
Yeah. So the truth is, it's the longer this has gone on, the harder it's got. It's nice to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's hard to stay. It's, you know, trying to stay positive. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any. I've got really good at PlayStation. Basically, that's my tips. I personally needed to have things that just killed a lot of time. So whether it was big open world RPGs I could just get lost in, or playing online competitive gaming and stuff, it was all about, for me, it was about how do I kill as much time as possible.
Absolutely. And so, what games have you been playing?
Well, me and Howler have been playing a lot of Fortnite, and we actually got high enough rank to start competing for money.
No.
So we're close to starting trying to take part in cash tournaments and stuff like that. And then
the e-gaming world has gone nutty throughout lockdown, hasn't it? It's been there for a few years, but my goodness, the money in it now is insane.
I'm not going to set up a YouTube channel or anything like that, but I do like thinking. What I'm kind of hoping is when I'm a bit more famous, they have these sort of like charity events where they partner up. They do duos where they partner you with a famous gamer, and then they have somebody who's like a sports personality or a music person or something like that. And I'm hoping one day I get to do some sort of massissive stadium competition with like partners of a famous gamer. Yeah, that'd be sick. But I'd have an advantage because I know how to play. That'd be cool.
That's cool, man. Well, thank you very much for taking a bit of time out of your day. Really do appreciate it. And thanks
for having me, man. It's been cool.
Anytime, man. Anytime. We'll have to get you on again in the future when events are all rolling again. We can talk about some new experiences and things like that. So guys, this has been episode 15 of BassPush interviews, in conjunction with the Wub Mag, an online magazine based in Bristol, covering everything underground. You can find them at www.thewubmag.com, or on Instagram at The Wub Mag, or on Facebook and SoundCloud at The Wub. Please do go over to www.duttymoonshine.com, go and follow their socials, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.
Big up.